Thanks for joining and welcome to Designers Live plus DETAUX. At Designers, we design learning experiences for design enthusiasts who want to jumpstart and kickstart their career in UI UX designing. Today in the session, we have Chetan, who is a product designer at Sprinkler and an alumni of IIT. He has had a very interesting journey and will surely give you some insights from his own journey. So without any taking extra time, Chetan, I hand this over to you.
So I'd like to go over a few projects so that I can sort of give you examples, real life examples of real UX design projects. So this is, if you can see my screen, this is the Designers Lab, and these are all the portfolios that people who've come out of this course have put up. So this happens to be an expense managing marvel. This is the process that this person has followed. Okay, they've visually explained how they've followed the design process and what they did under each of it. Okay, they've given me a brief introduction about what is Xman. They used to simplify a simple task. They started it by doing a competitive analysis. It would be a good idea to mention who you looked at when you did the competitive analysis, but they have not done that. It would have been a good add-on. But they mentioned what problems exist with the current application. So too many stats, not intuitive, disorganized, and so on. So if you do this step, make sure you mention who you looked at and what the pros and cons were of that particular application. Affinity mapping. This is a design process. You can read about it later. Okay, it would have been a good idea to introduce a persona over here because this does not give me an entire picture about what the person is or who the person is. Okay, very interesting. Key behaviors and identified pain point. Money tracking behavior, bill payments. Really hats off to whoever compiled this part of it because this is a very visual way of putting things out. If they hadn't done it this way, it would have been a huge flowchart with multiple branches and would have been very ugly to look at. I wouldn't have given attention to this, but this is great. So out of the pain points that they've seen in every particular domain, they've mentioned the ones that really hurt the most. So this is great. They did put up user personas. Nice. Ideation, reads bank statements and SMS to prevent task flows. So they mentioned what the task flow is, how a person who is going through their application goes through the journey of using the app, how they go through the display, choose or set goal and detail view. I'm not going to go over this, but this is a really good thing to have. Recruiters would appreciate this a lot. I would have definitely gone over this if there was more time. Sitemap. This is very, very important because it gives you a high level view of the entire application. Wireframes. I was talking about wireframes earlier. These are not the final designs. You can still make changes at this stage and you can discard ideas, you can play around at wireframes. That is why they're important before you go on to the final design because you spend a lot of time in refining it. And once you refine it, you might not be as inclined to make changes and discard ideas as you would be in the wireframing stage. Final prototype. They've put up the important screens and they mentioned the key aspects of each. This person has displayed some good UI design skills. But as I mentioned earlier, I would have really appreciated it if this person had put up a whole user flow of how a typical user would have gone through the entire application. But this is great as well. Good presentation overall. Navigation, drawer, iconography. Okay, brownie points for this. This person has gone into the details. Okay, this person is probably looking for a UI specific role. Maybe I'm wrong, but they've certainly put up things that UI design role recruiter would be looking at: iconography and button styles, colors and type. These are also important while designing any UI. So this was a good beginner's portfolio, and the points I mentioned would be great to have included. But overall, this is a decent project. I'd like to run you through a project that one of my college senior had worked on. His name is Chetan Manda, and he is a colleague of mine at where I work in Sprinkler. So this person's X factor is his ability to design motion graphics. So you can see how that person has put that out right in the beginning. He's mentioning what this is about. It's about Google Shop. He wants to create an online shopping process. He's mentioned the duration. It is a concept project. All elements belong to their owners. So what was his role? He did research, ideation, design. Notice how he's not following the typical 5-step process that you'd see in any design process. So this is completely okay. Whatever process that you've used, put that out because every problem requires a different approach. And it does not make sense to follow the same rigid design method, design process for every single project. So whatever worked for you, please put that out. Okay, research. These are good visuals. So even though he didn't need to support an icon, he's put it out and it shows in the quality of the presentation. Okay, his findings: digital agents are replacing humans, augmented reality over virtual reality, voice is replacing type, camera is a new keyword. Okay, he's identified a new technology trend in different domains, and this is his research. This is again something that very, very strongly adds to your portfolio. Adding metrics because it helps me easily scan through things: facts, needs, pain, influence. What should e-commerce ensure so that it is successful? Okay, brownie points for this again. He's mentioning again, he's supported everything with icons. So this is great. Relevance, agility, empowerment, consistency, convenience. What affects a buyer when they are purchasing something on an e-commerce platform? These are few usefulness. And he's mentioned what has he been inspired by. He's looked at Amazon, Alexa, Bixby. Now, he didn't really need to mention what all he's looked at, but this helps me get an idea about his strength in research because of the wide domains wide products he's surveyed, and also the brilliant way in which he's portraying how he went through these things. He could have just put it out in a few bullet points, but he's put out visuals to show that he's gone through these products. What was the impact? Primary research. Primary research is when you go to users, if you're designing it for certain users, going to them and actually speaking to them. So there are two types of research, primary and secondary. In secondary research, you look at work that is being done by others. You scour through the internet and figure out things that matter. And in primary research, you talk to the actual users and take out your own insights. So he must have floated a Google form or spoken personally to these people. And he figured out that these are something that they expect out of the platform. Opportunity areas. Again, really good use of graphics. He's put out that chatbots would be important. People want more videos and images. Needs to be personalized. This is a pain point. They regret purchases if it does not look like the way it does on the website. He's put out personas, very, very cleanly put. Ideation. So this was the earlier example that I was showing. He's put out the features in, again, a visual format. Feature categorization. This is important to showcase what all features the entire solution encompasses. So he's put it out here as well. Kano analysis. This is the tool that is used to prioritize different features into basic needs, satisfiers, and delighters. This helps me give different priorities to different parts of a solution. Okay, this is brilliant. Again, he's used motion graphics to show how the assistant that he wants to put into the project is going to look like and the persona traits of that person. Wireframes. Now, instead of putting 20-30 screens, he's put up a single motion prototype that brings across all those points across. So he's talking about search, image search, how it works. So I just need to take a photo of my watch and it shows it to me directly. Interesting. Search results. I'm skipping through all this because it will take time, but even though I'm skipping through it, I'm getting a lot of context because of the way he's presented and how he's used motion design to his advantage. He's put up 3D models as well, viewing product photos and product videos. This is a very comprehensive and detailed project. As a beginner, people aren't expecting so much from your project, but it's good to shoot for the stars. Look at how some experienced designers have put up their project and see what you can take away as inspiration from there and include it in your project as well. For those of you who have figured out a problem and want to put it into a UX case study, it's a good idea to look at others' portfolios and see what tools that they've used and how they portrayed it. And whatever works for you, you take inspiration from that and put it out into your own portfolio. This is another project on Medium. I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with it. It is a platform where people write articles. The advantage of putting it up on Medium is it has a huge distribution base. A lot of people use it, so they can have good visibility over here. This guy is pretty popular in the design industry. He's a designer in Bangalore, Chetan Manda. You can see how he's used a verb again to describe his heading, shown the impact also, boosting conversion rate using design. Interesting. I think he's designing the website for this particular product. He's embedded his Figma prototype over here so that we can go through the entire thing. All the rough iterations that he's gone over as well. This is pretty interesting, but I'm not going to spend time over this right now. He's linked his dribble as well. Okay. He's talking about existing problems, why there is a bad conversion rate. See how he's highlighted. I won't have time to go through the entire thing, but just by looking at these 3 words, I understand what he's talking about later. So it's a good idea to highlight words that help people skim through your points. Slow load times, they want you to try out samples, expensive, concern about ingredients, hard to read, couldn't find nutrition, return back policy, did not feel it was legit, not all problems can be solved by the designer, what's my value as a designer. Okay. Heuristic analysis is a design technique again. You can read about it. So it is where you evaluate an interface in terms of how easy to use it is. So when he did that, he found out that the interface is cluttered. People have very little idea about what the product is. There is a redundancy in the information displayed and the website looks very outdated. The hero section is the initial, whenever you land on a website, the first thing you see is the hero section. This is his new design, and what really makes me appreciate this is how he simply could have put up the new design, right? But he put it in context to the old design. And this really helps us see how he's changed the entire design from here to here. And that is something that a lot of recruiters would also appreciate. Okay, he's saying people scroll, so he's put out an information architecture. Until now, whatever examples you saw had a similar way of displaying the sitemap or the information architecture. But this person used the brand colors that are in the protein coffee into even displaying the information architecture. So kudos to that. You've brought consistency in every aspect of your presentation. And you also catered it to your own context. You didn't go for the entire flow of hierarchical flowchart of sorts, but you designed your own way of portraying what information is there. He's put up screens. He's showing what the important aspects, the checkout section. So he's showing those small modals, how the old design was and how he's changing it to improve the conversion. Incentives, a strong call to action, delighter, making it evident. Nice. Video testimonials. What has he changed? He's put out the information here. He's saying that he added the profession and the age of that person because people can relate to that person and figure out which video they want to see much easily than just putting out video thumbnails. Because the names don't mean anything to me. But if I am in the health industry and I am a health coach as well, I'd like to know what this person has to say. So I would click on this. So this is a good add-on. Nutrition section. This nutrition section, like he was mentioning earlier, seems to have been super cluttered. You can see in the design over here. And he's simplified it very nicely using badges. Clicking on this, again, depth versus breadth. If you tap on it, you get to see the entire information. So he's used a layer to separate what is important. And for those who want to delve deeper, he's added an interaction for that. FAQ section, he took it from this to this. He's even put in thought into the footer, which is the bottom of the website. Okay, this is a very, very comprehensive redesign for a website. And putting it up on Medium is very useful. As I mentioned, the distribution is large. And when you have a lot of textual matter, Medium is a great place to use that. Behance, like I showed you, requires a lot of visuals because that is what people on Behance are expecting from you. But if you have more textual matter, you can use Medium because it is a great place where you put up comprehensive case studies. This is an interesting interesting website that I came across. As I was mentioning earlier, having a personal website gives you leeway into how you want to present. This person is Sugandh. I don't know him personally, but I just stumbled upon his website and I love the way he put across his personality over here. So he's talking about his previous experiences. He's giving a personal touch about what he likes to do on the weekends, what got him excited into design, his guilty pleasure, and a button to download the resume. Interesting. Oh, okay, very interesting. He's giving us Spotify playlist, which he wants us to listen to while we're going through a story. So this is something that is completely unique. Congrats, Sugandh. It set you apart from typical templatized portfolios that you see. He's broken down a story into how he evolved over the years. I'm not going to go through this because I already have, but this is again his personal touch, and people appreciate this a lot because of it not looking like the other templates that you see across the design industry. Bring in your personal touch wherever you can. This person put out his story very beautifully. He's showing that he's a good photographer as well, and he's put that out too. So good job on your portfolio, Sugandh. Lastly, I just want to give you a tool which you can use. A lot of you want to get into MNCs like Google, Microsoft, and so on, Amazon or whatever. Cofolio is a great tool. If you haven't come across it, you can Google this. What it does is it compiles portfolios based on what portfolios made it through to getting recruited in that particular company. So for example, if I want to get into Google, right? Google might have a different way of looking at portfolios, and to what better to look at how to design my portfolio for Google than to look at those people who made it. So this has links to everyone who made it into the Google recruitment process and cleared it. So it tells you what colleges they're from, their portfolio. So you can scan through their portfolios and see what patterns you can observe that Google is also looking for. It's not as black and white as that, just a disclaimer. There might be different aspects that go into hiring anyone, right? From which college you're from, what your background is, what your personality is, how you're able to do the task that they give you and so on. But this is a good starting point because you get an idea about what kind of portfolios that different companies look for, what kind of work that is relevant to them. So it shows that someone from IT Bombay has made it into Google. So feel free to use this resource. It has a comprehensive list of different people who got into their recruitment, who made it process.
You got some interesting insights from Chetan's story. Thanks a lot, Chetan. It was an honor hosting you. Thank you for joining this detox session. I will see you in the next one.